Well, we told you we'd be back, and we are. Welcome back. Rich and Cathy took the Grandeur of the Seas cruise on Royal Caribbean February 25th through March 6th of 2024. It was a cruise that was very interesting, as you're going to find out. Well, you should know by now, if you've seen any of our other videos, that of course it starts at the airport. And that's exactly where we are here. Here's Cathy playing on her cell phone. We got there, as always, a little early, and you see the two suitcases there. One of those suitcases never made it back. The other one broke a little bit later. The really good thing about this trip, at least the start of it, was the fact that, yes, when we got to the airport, we were there early. It was still dark, but our plane was indeed there. We got to Miami with absolutely no problems. It took a while to get over to the hotel because there were a ton of people trying to get to the hotel, and they had one shuttle bus running. It only fit 8 people, and there were like 30 people trying to get on it. It was crazy. Anyway, we did get in. We did have dinner and went right to bed. It was a long day. And here's Cathy the next morning thinking about getting up and out of bed. But not really. I'm going to show you 2 shots here. This is inside the terminal. Now, we were told don't show up for your 11 o'clock time to check in until 12 noon. Apparently, they had some problems getting people off, or so. I don't know what the deal was. Anyway, this was looking down toward the entrance to the terminal at the cruise port. And in just a second, well, let's take a look. This is what it looked like from the other side as you went into the area where you sat down. We weren't the first people there. Not this cruise. As you can see, there were a bunch of people already there waiting to get on board of Grandeur of the Seas, and we were kind of in the last row of the people admitted and sitting there. But that was all right. The line moved very quickly, and we were able to get on board the ship, actually long before 11 o'clock. Once on the ship, we just found a place to sit. We really weren't that hungry. We'd had breakfast at the hotel. And so we didn't go up to the windjammer or anything like that. We just found a place to sit next to a window. And the ship that you see, or the boat that you see right there, the big boat, I joked to Cathy, I said, that's going to be my boat. I'm going to get that boat. Yeah, right. Now, the scow that you see down below here, this is actually being pushed by a tugboat. This is the refueling barge. It pulls up alongside the ship and does the refueling. And we were able to sit and watch it get refueled before we took off from Miami. Here's Cathy sitting just outside the Centrum area, which was like about 8 decks tall, or actually about 6 decks tall. And you could actually look from deck 8 all the way down to deck 4. It was pretty cool. Here she is, very impressed with the scenery, and she's playing on her phone. I really don't know why I included this shot. There really weren't many people on board when we got on board. Here's the back of a lady sitting there, and she was waiting for her husband. You can see the elevators off to the far, I guess, left. That's where the elevators are. And, the Centrum was a really nice area, and they did an awful lot of stuff with it. There were always music going on or dancing or something going on in the Centrum. Okay, I admit, we did not get the picture of Rich and Cathy in Austin at the airport like what we always have, but so we took one here. This is the picture of the two of us in the Centrum area, waiting for the rooms to open up, which took a little bit longer for us, believe it or not, because what happened was one of the people on board the ship in the area of our room decided that they didn't want to get off the ship. They actually had to call the Miami-Dade County Police to come and arrest them and escort them off the ship. Fun stuff. We were about 40 minutes late finding our room. So when you can't get in your room right away, what do? You head to the schooner bar, and there's Cathy. She's got her Coke cup there. We didn't get the Coke this trip, though. She is getting ready to hand her card, C-Pass card, to the bar waiter and start enjoying her beverages. One of the neat things that I thought was really cool this trip, we were on Grandeur of the Seas, and the ship that you're seeing there is Virgin Voyage's Scarlet Lady. Now, the reason that's so neat in my world, our travel agent, who has helped us out immensely, Kristen O'Brien from Long Island, New York. She was on that ship and had to get off just before we got on our ship. We didn't see her, but she got off that ship as we were getting on our ship. And I told her, I says, she had a 10:30 flight back to New York, and she told me, she sent me an email and said she made it. Way to go, Kristen. It has been a long time since I've been in Miami, especially at the cruise port. And as you can see, Miami is growing. There's a lot of construction going on there, and here are a few shots of the construction taken from the window outside of our cruise ship Grandeur of the Seas. Thought it was very interesting. Grandeur was at the G terminal, and that's where they keep the smaller ships for Royal Caribbean when they come into Miami. Now, we haven't set sail yet, but this was taken probably around noon, and certainly wasn't 1 o'clock. We hadn't been to the room yet, and waited while they arrested the guy that was in there. It wasn't our room he was in, but it was another room. Anyway, this is a schooner bar. It was exactly the same schooner bar. If you saw the Enchantment of the Seas, exact same layout. In fact, Cathy and I, when we took this picture, were sitting in the exact same seat in the schooner bar that we sat in Enchantment for Sail Away. Truth be told, Cathy wanted me to take this picture. We were looking down at the pier and all the people that were working down there, and where's Waldo? We found him. There he is. A little later that night, as we were at sea when this picture was taken, we went up to the pool deck. Now, the pool deck is on deck 9 on Grandeur of the Seas, and not many people up there right now, but it was a nice area to behold, and it was leading. If you walked straight from where this picture was taken, you walk right into the Windjammer Cafe, the buffet. You're going to notice quite a few ships on this particular voyage that we were on. That was a picture that we took, and I believe that was from Viking ship that we took a picture of. We were in the Windjammer up on deck 9 when we took that, and they were sailing right alongside of us pretty much the whole way for the first day or so. This was our breakfast the first day at sea, actually the second day at sea. That's Cathy's take. She loved the melon. The melon, she said, was so good, so sweet, and it was really good. Got a couple of the hash browns, got some bacon, and of course, had to get the omelet. Me, I skipped the eggs. Here's Cathy posing for me from the schooner bar. We're waiting for trivia on day 2. And now you're going to notice something very special about Cathy this particular trip. See if you can guess. I'll tell you at the end. You know, I don't know why I included this one. Here's a picture of the schooner bar, empty. Not a lot of people in there this early in the morning, but they have a nice piano back there that, quite frankly, I never heard anybody play, though I know that they did have a piano player that came in the evenings when we were usually doing other things. And here's Cathy, sitting in a chair where the door used to be, or should be, or something, in our cabin. They only had room for that particular chair, and that was the only place they had room for it. Very small cabin. Let's take a look, if you will, at our cabin from Enchantment of the Seas, the sister ship to this. This is our cabin on Enchantment of the Seas. And you can see how small it was. Not a lot of room to move around, but at least we had a love seat.
In our last video, we took a picture for you of our cabin. This is our cabin now, and I'm standing where the door usually would be in a cabin like this. The bathroom is right there, but and we've got a closet right there. But this is, and typically you'd have a couch right there, but there's a door instead. They've put the door where a couch would normally be. And again, you don't have a lot of room to maneuver. I mean, that's the amount of room we have right there to maneuver, or Cathy does, because that's her CPAP over there. That's her side of the bed, and mine's over there. There is a mirror. Hi there, how are you? And then if I turn around, we do have a full-length mirror there, and that's where the door should be. And they've jammed a chair in there. That is fun.
So when we get to the Dominican Republic, we went to Puerto Plata. Cathy and I have already been to Puerto Plata, so we weren't planning on getting off the ship except for maybe getting her a refrigerator magnet. But it got a little bit rainy and stormy, as you can see.
Well, we are here. We are parked right behind Adventure of the Seas from Royal Caribbean. And over here we've got the Norwegian Encore. And there you see the pier down there. And yes, there are people walking. It's a long slog to get to the thing, and you can see the rain coming down. It is actually raining here in Puerto Plata, and nobody up on the Adventure of the Seas in the water slides. Now, you don't need a water slide today. You can slide down. If we got down another deck below us, on deck 5, we could get in some of the chairs and get absolutely soaked. You can see that there are trolleys and cars and everything else moving people back and forth. And there are people. They've got their raincoats on, and they're walking back to the actual thing back there. Let's walk over this way.
At least we didn't have any shore excursions. Cathy wasn't a happy camper. I mean, this is her I'm not a happy camper look. She had a jacket on because it was cold, and it was not what you would expect being in the Caribbean, even in February or March. But it was cold. But a lot of folks were disappointed because they were trying to get to the beach. Not a good day to go to the beach in the Dominican Republic. But as you know, safety always comes first. Not just for Royal Caribbean, but every cruise line. And of course, they always are testing out the lifeboats to make sure that they all work. And that's exactly what they did here. I guess I threw this picture in because, yes, it was raining. And it was raining pretty hard in Puerto Plata. So nonetheless, take a look. It's raining. And while those people were getting soaked going to Puerto Plata in the cruise terminal, Cathy and I decided, what the heck, we're just going to go up to the Windjammer and grab something to eat and drink. And this was Cathy having some, I think it was lemonade is what she was drinking in this picture. And we weren't the only ones that decided to just kind of chill and not go ashore today. A lot of folks were disappointed that the sun wasn't shining. In fact, we talked to one woman who said, I came on this cruise to go to the beach, and I want to go to the beach. And I said, you can still go. She goes, I'm not going today. So what does Royal Caribbean do when it's a rainy day and nobody is wanting to get off the ship? Well, you all head to the casinos. And this was actually after we left Puerto Plata, because that's when you can open the casino. You have to be in international waters. But they gave us, by random draw, so much money to bet on. Now, normally we get $6 to bet on because of our standing. We'll get $6 each that we can spend in the casino, and it doesn't cost us anything. Usually we play the $6, and whatever's left we keep or give it to the cabin steward as an extra bonus, an extra tip. This was Cathy. She had $56, and she won. She had over $65 by playing jacks or better on the cruise in the casino. Way to go, Cathy. Now, what you don't see, if you look behind her, she's holding an ice cream cone. Yeah, she loved the ice cream. Had it every day. Another thing that Royal Caribbean decided to do was show a movie in the theater instead of making everybody go on board or allowing people to go on ashore. So what they did was they showed one of the movies that they had, which was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Cool movie. Thought it was interesting. This was the one where Indiana Jones is really kind of old looking. You know, Harrison Ford's not a young chicken anymore, but he had that was a good show. It really was a good show, and we had a good time with it. I believe this guy's name is Corey Long. He's a comedian, and he says he's been on cruise ships for the last 20 or 30 years, something like that. Funny guy, clean, yes, and had some nice humor. Wasn't the funniest guy in the world. Nobody's going to mistake him for Jerry Seinfeld. But he did a nice job, and I will say this about the entertainment on the ship. It really was first class. We saw, and you're going to see a couple of different people that are doing different things that you normally don't get the chance to see on the cruise. But as you can see here, a lot of folks were in the theater that night to listen to Corey Long. When we got to San Juan, Puerto Rico, our second stop, the sun was shining, it was warm, it was humid, and there's Cathy standing outside of our ship. There were two ships next to each other, and this was Cathy standing on the pier, getting ready to walk in to see if she could find a refrigerator magnet. I took this picture because I thought it was kind of interesting. The first ship that you see with the kind of the squiggles on the side is the Norwegian Epic, and you can almost see between the Epic and the blue-hulled ship, which is a Carnival ship, the Grandeur between the two. The Grandeur a lot smaller than both of the other two ships. This is a little bit better view of the Grandeur next to the Epic. It is. We had a small ship, okay? It was the smallest ship in the fleet for Royal Caribbean, and it's the oldest. In fact, it's going into dry dock on March 24th because it needed a lot of fixing. But this was comparative size between the Epic and the Grandeur. I don't usually get my picture taken often on a cruise ship, but this one Cathy took. I'm standing there all excited because I'm in Puerto Rico again. They had tents and shops set up along this walkway, and Cathy was looking. In fact, I think she did get a refrigerator magnet. Too bad the magnet never made it back to Sun City. More on that later. And another shot of me standing on the pier heading back to the cruise ship. And again, that's Epic on the right, Grandeur in the middle, and the Carnival ship. And I can't remember which one that was, but there was a Carnival ship off to the left of us. Two ships that were much, much bigger than Grandeur of the Seas. Here's a view of the port from the Windjammer. We were up on deck 9 again, and looking straight out the front of the ship. And there was a hotel. The blue building there on the left was a hotel. There was shopping right across the street, and a lot of people wanting to give you taxis and show you the island and do all the other stuff. We've been to Puerto Rico probably a dozen times, and so we really know Old San Juan, which is where the cruise ship docks. I was more interested to take a look behind our ship and take a look at some of the things back there. Now, we did this one from the Viking Crown Lounge at the top of the Grandeur of the Seas. We're looking past the Carnival ship, and if you look beyond that, you can see kind of like an island or something like that, a little grassy area. That's actually a landing strip. There is an airport back there. And while we were sitting here, yeah, the planes were landing, little planes were landing and taking off from there. I thought that was kind of cool. And again, I wish I could remember the name of the Carnival ship that was there, but we were right next to it. But anyway, if you look, you can see this is one of the ships that Carnival has that has a roller coaster on top. Now, nobody's riding on the roller coaster. There are people going down the water slides, but the roller coaster isn't running in port. But nonetheless, that's the Carnival ship that we were docked next to. Every night, the theater was the place to be. Now, you saw the comedian Corey Long earlier. This was one of the things, this curtain that they had in the theater as we were sitting there waiting for a show the night that we were in San Juan. The show this particular night, and I know this isn't a very good picture to look at, but we were sitting on the 6th deck, that's the upper deck of the theater, and it was two-tiered, and looking down as they were doing a salute to Broadway. A lot of Broadway shows that they did. Chicago was one of them. All That Jazz was one of them. They did quite a few of the shows and numbers from the shows. The group that did it, the Grandeur of the Seas singers and dancers, were actually really, really good. I was surprised that they were as good as what they were. Okay, I told you that the Grandeur of the Seas was not without its problems. Here is what you get when you're going to try and look at CNN or ESPN or MSNBC or Fox News. This channel is currently experiencing technical issues and undergoing maintenance. We apologize for the inconvenience. I don't think they ever really did apologize for it. I can tell you this: we never really saw any of those channels because they never got it fixed, and that is a problem with the ship itself. There were a lot of problems. This picture is of our ceiling from our cabin. And the reason it's there is because there was a woman on deck 8. Now, we were on deck 7. A woman on deck 8, which was directly below the swimming pool. Here's a tip: don't ever book a cabin directly below the swimming pool or the theater or above it, because you don't want to do that. It's going to be noisy, it's going to be sloshing around. That ceiling is metal, and it actually collapsed on the woman when she was in bed, believe it or not, and water came down on the bed itself. Now, why in the world would I show a picture of our toilet in our cabin? Well, I did that because when we were at the show on the sixth deck for the Broadway show, there was a woman we were sitting next to who told us that she'd had a terrible experience. She was sitting on the toilet. She was not clothed, and the toilet came off the wall. Now, you can see it's pretty well attached to the wall there, and it came off the wall. She fell down naked, and the toilet fell on top of her. Not a good scene. And they ended up having, her husband had to come and get her up from the floor and get the toilet back, and then they called maintenance to come and fix the toilet. But you can, just another example of some of the problems that Grandeur of the Seas was having. The ship, not in good shape. The crew was fabulous. And of course, you've got to get your picture with the obligatory towel animals that the room stewards, the cabin stewards, always put up. This one was of a rabbit who's hanging on for dear life on what would normally be a coffee table, but it was a kind of a beat up piece of furniture. Hopefully, when it's in dry dock, they're fixing that as well. Okay, enough of the negative stuff. Let's get back to the positives. Here's Cathy in the solarium. This is where it's an 18 plus only area, and it was very nice. Of course, there weren't a lot of kids on board the ship either because it's school time, and it's a smaller ship with no water slides or anything like that. And here's Cathy enjoying the warmth and the fun of the solarium. And just another shot of the solarium itself. It has a saltwater swimming pool and 2 hot tubs, along with showers. That's a shower on the extreme left there that you can go. Plenty of seating, never full. It was a great place. And the pizza place on this ship is right next to the solarium, which makes it very convenient to get pizza, something I really don't need. This is a bad picture. Sorry about that, but the lighting was terrible. The guy doing ventriloquism, he was throwing his voice, and he was funny. Oh my gosh, this guy was hilarious. He was on America's Got Talent, and they were very quick to point that out. But he was very talented. He had a couple of the animals that are puppets or whatever that he had, and he was hilarious. We all loved him. He got a standing ovation. So when we get to, I think this is Antigua. This is the MSC Explorer 1, and kind of a neat cruise ship. Usually the Explorer ships, I thought, did more of the, like they're going to Antarctica and Galapagos Islands and things like that. But this was that, and the ship right behind it, as you see, is actually the, this is a P&O Arva. And that is a Carnival-owned ship. This was us coming into port in Barbados, and there was a long walk from the pier. You can see that pier, that smaller ship right there. Basically, there's nothing behind it, so that's the end of the pier. They did have shuttle buses. We chose to walk and get in our steps, which we really needed to do. But it was a lovely time. But we're moving sideways now into the pier so we can dock. One of the neat things that was working on our TV station, was the fact that you could watch where you are. They have the map of where you're going and everything else, and there you see us in Bridgetown, Barbados. This was the next to the last stop. I'm sorry, Sast. Then we went to St. Lucia and then St. Kitts after that. But this is kind of showing you where we were. And I got to laugh. The sun was really bright when we got off the ship. This is after we walked about a mile from where the ship was put in to the Barbados sign. And because we're doing a selfie, of course, everything appears backwards. So the Barbados sign is going to appear like it was in a mirror type of thing. Cathy's smiling. I couldn't see squat, and I'm not sure I'm even taking a picture with this. Apparently I did, but I wasn't smiling. One of the neatest things that happens on a cruise ship, and this is one thing why we always like to sit at a big table, is the fact that you get to meet the greatest people in the world on cruises. You really, truly do. And these were the 4 people we met on this cruise. The guy in the light blue shirt is Jim. His wife Dee is right next to him. I've got a better picture of her coming up. Pam is the one straight back in the kind of the pink. And you don't see Jerry, but he's the guy off to the left. Or I'm sorry, off to the right. And so if we take a look at the next picture, you see Jerry. He's laughing at somebody over there. Jim's playing on his phone, and there's Dee, and there's Pam. They're from South Carolina, and they are the greatest people in the world. In fact, Jim and Dee got a little under the weather on this cruise and missed the last 2 nights at dinner. And I understand that they got some antibiotics when they got back home, and that they're better now, and I'm glad to hear that. They're just salt-of-the-earth people. I can't think of better people that we have ever cruised with than these 4 right here. One of the bar staff and one of the assistant waiters that Jim knew came over and gave us this heart-shaped towel folding in a glass one night. And now Jim and Dee weren't there that night, but you can almost see Pam and you can see Jerry there. This was really nice of her, and I just thought it was a neat thing to do, so I took a picture of it. Here we are in St. Lucia. Now, Cathy and I have been to St. Lucia before, and we had a good time. There's a sulfur springs there that is really cool. Everybody wanted to go up to the sulfur springs, not realizing that sulfur stinks, and your clothes stunk, and your bathing suit stunk, and your shoes stunk. I mean, for the rest of the cruise, it wasn't very good. And this is one of the. This was a Princess cruise ship that was also docked there. And you can see one of the lifeboats that they're out there testing right now as well. And then as we were sitting there, this is a little bit of the downtown area of St. Lucia, or Castries, which is the capital of St. Lucia. One of our trivia ladies from the entertainment staff is from St. Lucia. And she had the day off so she could go and visit her family, which I thought was really cool. Do that for her, to give her the day off to go home and enjoy while she's working on a cruise ship. That is a rare occasion. After St. Lucia, it was on to our final stop, and that was St. Kitts. It's the only island that Cathy and I had not been at on this trip. We'd been to all the other islands at least once, maybe even more than that. And here's Rich holding some T-shirts that I bought at St. Kitts. As they all have these signs. It tells you where you are, and that's kind of cool. And here's Cathy. Of course, I have to take her picture. She took my picture, and so that's kind of cool. St. Kitts was a beautiful place. I really like the island, and a good place to go back to. We might just do that sometime. And here's a shot of St. Kitts from the ship. If you see the dome, blue dome, when I took the picture of St. Kitts with us standing by the side, it's on the other side of that building. But St. Kitts, a beautiful area, and very mountainous, and very pretty, very pretty. There were a lot of tour buses lined up. You can see them here. These are tour buses waiting for all of the people to get off the ship and jump on the tour buses. These were not necessarily for shore excursion things that you'd buy like from Royal Caribbean or Carnival or whatever. These were like things that they were just standing there hoping that you would come and do something with them. I thought that was interesting, but boy, there were a ton of people that wanted to do that. And there also is a casino. That yellow building right there is a casino, and they had free Wi-Fi, which was really nice. One of the interesting things that I love to do when I'm on a cruise is take a look at the other ships. If you take a look at the second ship, the one in the back, it's called Mein Schiff. It's a German cruise ship. We sat at lunch one day with a girl from Germany who said, yeah, it's kind of like the Carnival of Germany. And they go on low budget cruises, and they're basically like the Carnival of Germany. But Mein Schiff, I've never heard of them before, but that was Mein Schiff 4, and then this one in the front. I believe that was a another Virgin ship. I believe. I've seen so many of them, I lose track from time to time. The night we were leaving St. Kitts, we had a juggler. You wouldn't think a juggler's going to do a whole lot. But this guy was funny. I mean, he was really funny. Had people up on stage with him. He was dropping things. He was, he very talented, but he was not serious about what he was doing either. He was having a great old time. But this was a picture of the juggler that we saw in the theater. Remember how I told you Cathy liked ice cream? They have all the ice cream cones you can eat up on Deck 9, and every day Cathy would go and she'd get herself a vanilla ice cream cone. Loved it. She says it was the best ice cream she's had at sea on any of the cruises that we've been on. Normally it's more like an ice milk. She said this was very much like ice cream, and she enjoyed it every day. Yep, it's another shot of the pool deck. I don't know why I did this one, other than the fact that there weren't a lot of people at the pool deck this particular day, so it was kind of interesting. I thought it was just kind of neat. But nonetheless, here's the pool deck and some of the people that are out there. What was neat is coming up next. On the last sea day, we had 2 sea days before we got back to Miami after we left St. Kitts. They do a parade of flags. And basically all of the crew, they represent 60 different countries on board that ship. They all come down carrying their own nation's flags. And as they're read out, they come out and they do a little dance in the centrum. It was really kind of cool. And it was nice to see the people that have served us through the cruise out there enjoying it and doing a special dance. And it was really kind of cool. 60 different countries represented, including the United States, on this particular ship. Okay, before we go, I have to do a couple of things. First of all, I told you at the very beginning about the suitcase situation. One of them didn't make it back. The other one broke. The suitcase on the right was mine, the carry-on, and when we landed in Miami, it got bumped and fell over, and the telescoping handle that you used to drag it with broke. I mean, it just wouldn't go down. The suitcase on the left was Cathy's carry-on. That one was actually lost. When we got ready to get out of the port and get on the shuttle bus back to the airport after the cruise, it went on the shuttle bus. It never came off the shuttle bus. Nobody knows what happened to it. So everything Cathy had packed in that was gone. We've written a report for Royal Caribbean. We do have travel insurance, so that should cover it. It's just a matter of if we're going to get it back and how much. And finally, before we let you go, remember I told you Cathy had not done one thing on this cruise that she'd done all over the place, time and time and time and time again. Well, here's a picture of her in San Francisco, actually, when she decided she was going to give me the finger. And every trip we've taken that she had her picture taken, this is what happened. So, but she didn't do that on this trip. No finger. I don't know. I'm flummoxed as anybody else. But I was glad to see it. She smiled. She even put bananas in her ears, so not all that bad. And there you have it. That was our cruise on Grandeur of the Seas. Our next cruise comes up April 30th to May 9th of this year. We will be heading to Hawaii to sail to Vancouver. It's the last leg of a repositioning cruise for Ovation of the Seas, a newer ship, and looking forward to it. We're going to be getting a virtual balcony. This is something where they put into your room a window, but it's not really a window. It's more like a screen, and show you what's going on the outside. So you kind of have a balcony, but not really. And so it'll be interesting to see how that works, and we'll, of course, get that for you as well. But we'll be back probably the second week in May, maybe the third week in May, and have that one all set for you as well. Then we're going to take the summer off, go see the kids, and the grandkids and have a good time in Houston and St. Louis before heading off in October to Paris and Rome and doing the Greek Isles and a transatlantic crossing back to Fort Lauderdale. And that'll end up with the 2024 Cruise Fest that we've began here actually back last September on Wonder of the Seas. So until then, have yourself a good one. We'll see you sometime in May.